right, everybody. Unhappy Thursday. As unhappy as it could be, actually. Coming to you live from our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to stream us on YouTube. So please, pull up a chair, turn up the volume if for some reason I'm not loud enough. Use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work at this hour. Crack open a cold one if that's your thing on a Thursday night, and let's try to have some fun as we put an end to Friday Eve and look forward to the upcoming weekend. And what a weekend it will be. It actually does start tonight. The Ravens at the Chiefs. The NFL is finally back. And we have a couple injuries already. But that's for tomorrow night. Tonight we have the Ravens at the Chiefs. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about, obviously, the Birds game tomorrow. And we will talk about, and if anybody, I'm going to put the StreamYard link up here early. So if anyone wants to, right after Boner of the Week, we're going to pop that StreamYard link up. And if anybody wants to come in and give us their thoughts on how this season's going to break down, not so much just for the Birds, but across the league, right? Division by division. Feel free to come on in and give your thoughts, okay? That's what this show is going to be about tonight. I understand the Phillies are playing right now. You're playing the Marlins, all right? I mean, just beat the Marlins, all right? Come on in here and talk some football and have a good time with my fat ass for the next little less than an hour. We are going to stop hard at 8 o'clock. The game's going to kick off. I still have some things to do to get ready for tomorrow night, where I've got our group out here getting together for the first time this year. Well, second time this year, but, first game of the year. So going to be a fun weekend. Looking forward to another big slate of college football coming on Saturday. And, of course, the NFL reigns supreme on Sunday. David Califoot in the room. What's up, big dog? How you doing, Breaker 19? Lou Mancini joins us. Public service announcement. Lincoln Park has a new singer, and it's a woman who nails it. Have to check that out. Dave Califoot. Got Flowers. Kelsey, 25. Flowers, receiving yards. Lamar, 25 rushing. And Ravens, plus 3.5 for a total of 503. All right, well, $10 equals $50.30. I do think that the Chiefs are home. So it's kind of, it's always hard to bet against them, especially when they're at home. But I do think the Ravens have a lot more to prove tonight. I think this game means more to the Ravens tonight. Not that it doesn't mean anything to the Chiefs, obviously, but when you look at what happened last year, this is a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. And the Ravens got embarrassed at home to this Chiefs team. So to think that the Ravens don't have a chip on their shoulder, a bone to pick, and don't want to come out and make a statement right away, that is, I think you'd be foolish to think that. And we all saw the Chiefs to start last season, right? They were home against Detroit and came out flat. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Lou Mancini asks, are you guys able to watch the game, watch the Birds from the slough? No. So what we had to do, Lou, and in case you weren't aware, I mean, I've talked about it on here a few times, but I've kind of skimmed over it a bunch too. As you all know, unless you are in the local Green Bay or local Philadelphia area, the game tomorrow night is strictly Peacock streaming only. That produces challenges for the rest of us, right? Now some of your other locations, like if we were a huge group gathering at like a Buffalo Wild Wings, totally different set of circumstances. They basically have endless pockets, right? The back porch is privately owned. And to us, to me, and to my group, that's the beauty of it for us. We're not held to these, it's a corporate place and blah, blah, blah. It's a home. But also with that does come some challenges when it comes to stuff like this. So in order for the back porch to get the game legally, they would have to purchase a commercial Peacock streaming account. And that is a box that has to be hooked up an individual box for each TV that you want to stream it on. So for the porch, they wouldn't be able to hook it in to their regular feed across the TVs. It would just be this extra box. There's installation fees for each one. And then the monthly charge was like $400 a month to keep just 3 of them running. It's one game, okay? It's just not worth the investment. So then we thought maybe for a minute, hey, let's just bring our own Roku sticks up there and plug those in. Well, that's the illegal way to do it, okay? So I've got my Roku stick over there ready for tomorrow night, but we're doing this at a residential. If I was to take that to the back porch, plug it in, okay, we're hooked up to the Wi-Fi. Yay, there's Adam's Peacock account. Boom, game's on. Well, what happens is you get folks who work for these companies, Peacock, the NFL, whatever, that live in each, or live or work or whatever in these different. So what they'll do is they will Google search and Facebook search and other kinds of social media search, Eagles Bar, Cincinnati area. And the back porch is going to pop up. What they'll do is they'll call. Hey, I'm in town. Can't watch the game, blah, blah. Are you guys showing it? And they'll sound like it's just a fan. If someone tells them yes, that person comes up there. They take pictures. They eat, they drink, whatever. They take pictures of the game streaming, and they leave. Those pictures get sent off. Next thing you know, your establishment is slapped with a 5-figure fine. And we speak from experience with this, as it happened once about 12 years ago for an Oscar De La Hoya fight. So, again, juice not worth the squeeze, right? Not when we have options. So, to answer your question, Lou, no, we won't be at the saloon. What we did find, what I was able to secure, thanks to another gentleman in our group, is the clubhouse at a subdivision about 2 towns over. And we'll have about 35 people in there. Should be fairly comfortable. We're doing it potluck type of food. Bring your own beverage. It's still going to make for a fun night. Albeit a little bit more subdued, right? Like we can't go completely mental like we're at the bar. So I'm not bringing the cowbell, but I am bringing the speaker to play the fight song. Just, we had to call an audible. And it took a little bit of work, but we're there. So we get to hang out tomorrow night. I will tell you, had this been the game against the Panthers later this season, I don't know. Look, folks, y'all want to go up to Buffalo Wild Wings and just deal with it for a night. But this is the first game of the year. It's this Brazil nonsense. It's against the Packers, which is a big matchup. And it's the first game. We've not been able to hang out together for a game since that awful loss to Tampa in the playoffs, which, by the way, UnHappy Gilmore told you that was going to happen about a month and a half before it happened. But I digress. So yeah, Lou, to answer your question, no, not at the porch, but we are still able to get together, and it's going to be awesome. So, Dave Califoot, sports in general is rigged. Money's on KC. Baltimore wins. All right. That's right. I was going to stop in Oklahoma on my way back up to Chicago. I forgot the greedy NFL has it on the BS. California, you live once, Gilmore, take a chance. It's not my chance to take is the deal. Okay. It's to ask Mike to take a $10,000 to $20,000 risk for one football game. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't. He's my friend, first and foremost. Second of all, I just wouldn't do that. Not when I could go figure out another option. Look, if we couldn't find a place to go, there would be an inflatable screen in my backyard tomorrow night, and we'd be it would have to be up in the front because otherwise I'd get the light pollution. It would be in the front with a projector, and we'd be here at my house, much to my wife's chagrin. So we were doing this one way or the other. Keaton Harbin joins us. Yo, what up, you goofies? What's happening, my friend? But yeah, so that's the deal for tomorrow night. We're all, potluck stuff. So let me give you an idea of the food here before we get down to the business end of things. Let me pull this up real quick. Get into my group here. Events. Green Bay game. 2020. So we've got on the menu, if this thing would open, buffalo chicken dip with chips. Like it's called cowboy caviar, but it's kind of like some sort of like Tex-Mex salsa with chips for dipping. Another person's bringing Southern Sweet Heat meatballs. Mike and Angie are bringing wings and shrimp cocktail. We've got 3 pounds of pulled pork, smoked by another on a friend of ours, part of our group. He's got his own smoker. 3 pounds of that with the buns for sandwiches. White chicken chili. Another gentleman, Fred, is bringing cheese stick cups. If anyone can clue me in on what that is, I don't know, but I'm kind of excited about it. And then we've got dessert, crock pot, chocolate lava cake, and vanilla ice cream, coffee mousse, and then, of course, some non-alcoholic stuff, Coke, Sprite, Mountain Dew. There'll be water, all that kind of jazz. So it's going to be a fun night. We should macaroni salad, or pasta salad, and then tomato pie as well. So we should do fine tomorrow night. Lou Mancini says cowboy caviar is wonderful. Califoot says anything with the name cowboy and it sucks. I laughed when she put it up that she was going to bring this cowboy caviar. I'm like, to a Birds game? Really? But hey, you know what? I'm just I'm happy people are bringing stuff. As far as us, I of course, I bring the speaker, and we are bringing all of the plates, bowls, cups, napkins, and the plastic flatware for everybody. Probably going to stop and get some chips and dip just for some extra shit to have, maybe a case of water. And that'll be it. Yeah, David Conner in the room. No worse than the Red Sox. How are you feeling, my friend? I hope you're doing better. I know you've been under the weather the last few days. All right, folks, let's get to the business of things so we can get on to the boner of the week and get on to some football. Everyone, we are sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia, just minutes away from the sports complex. Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon to 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980 and reserve a private booth and party package. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drink and food specials, and a premium selection of cigars and a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting event and you can't get to the stadium or the ballpark, head on out to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall as well as HD TV screens throughout the club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club located at 2740 South Front Street in Philly. Call 215-467-1980. All right, there's your sponsorship, which we're always looking for more. I'm about to start pitching that into my group out here as well. So I would tell you if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, but you can't be. So it's just YouTube. But make sure you're sharing this everywhere, okay? And not just this show. Make sure you're sharing Green Legion Radio everywhere, okay? Even though right now it's just, the streaming portion of it is just on YouTube. If you follow our Facebook page, share the Facebook page. You follow us on Instagram, share the Instagram. You follow us on Twitter, X, share that as well. Always share the YouTube page. We want to flood the interwebs with the Green Legion and with Green Legion Radio. I already talked about sponsors. So yeah, that's your business end of things. What do we got here? Califoot. Hey, could be worse. Could be named Weiner Caviar. That's very true. That's very true. Keenan Harmon, has anyone heard from Papa Q today? Do you have any idea when he's doing pregame show on iHeart? So, Keenan, from what I understand, Sao Paulo is only an hour time difference from Philadelphia. Now, it's like a 10-hour flight to get down there. But it's not so far east that it east or west or whatever that it causes a major time difference. So You look at an 8:15 Eastern Standard Time start for the game, which makes it 7:15 down there. So figure the tailgate is 3 to 4 hours prior to that, and the radio show, the pregame show, will probably be right in the middle of the tailgate. Figure, let's say the tailgate goes, let's just say, for example, the tailgate, and we're just using Eastern Standard Time. Let's say the tailgate would be 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., just as an example. Figure the pregame show would probably be like 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Somewhere in that neighborhood. So, maybe 5 to 6 our time, local Eastern Standard. But keep that kind of in the back of your brain as far as a possible time for the pregame show. I'm sure they'll be advertising it tomorrow. All right. Happy to see all the pictures down there. People already there. People on their way down. Looks like everybody's having a good time. Looks beautiful down there. The stadium does not look very beautiful, though. And we'll save that for just a couple more minutes here. Want to get to the boner of the week. And you may want to plug your ears on this one. Although I think you already know what's coming. So, to end the regular season college football last year, after the conference championship, the Florida State Seminoles were your ACC champion, undefeated. They were left out of the college football playoff in what has been dubbed the biggest snub in the history of the playoff, right? I mean, they were an undefeated conference champ and got left out. So I get it. Except for the fact that they didn't have, Travis. So anyways, we're not going to go back through all that. We know what happened. We know there was an uproar. We also know the fans continued to uproar throughout the offseason. And so coming into this year, we wiped the slate clean. Florida State's ranked 10th in the country to start the year. And they're ready to come out and prove, we should have been there, blah, 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 blah. They have promptly gone out and gotten smacked around by both Georgia Tech in a game in Dublin and now by Boston College, home at Florida State. They've fallen all the way out of the top 25. The number one reason has got to fall on the head coach. I am sorry, but this guy, I'm going to tell you what, if they end up 0-3, who the hell do they play this week? Florida State. I'm a little bit unprepared for that, but we are going to pull that up right now. Florida State Seminoles football. Here we go. So they are going to play Memphis on Saturday. Or no. They get a week off. Well, that's bullshit. Anyways, look, I'll tell you what, if they end up 0-3, Mike Norvell's got to get shown the door. You can't, and I talked about this with Dave Connett, who is a big Florida State fan. The running back. When Jordan Travis got hurt last year, the running back, whose name I don't really pronounce well, the game for them became about defense and the running game. And he carried what was left of that offense. Toafili, that's it. And if you watch these first two games, the guy's not touching the football. And I'll give you an example of why Mike Norvell is just hot garbage. So here's the Boston College game. That's Boston College. Toafili had one carry for 5 yards. Okay? One carry for 5 yards. How about Georgia Tech? Let's see what happened there. Florida State. Toafili, 8 carries, 30 yards. So he's had 9 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown in 2 games. He was the reason why offensively you did anything in that conference championship last year. And now you bring in, here's another problem. So the head coach is also responsible for recruiting, right? So you have a quarterback who stunk at Clemson and now you decide that he is going to be the answer for you at Florida State. And it's DJ Uyunga Lugi, whatever the hell his name is. He's terrible. The guy stunk at Clemson. And now you bring him into Florida State. So he stunk in the ACC already. And this is your answer at quarterback. And not only do you make that decision, but after the first game, was it not obvious maybe Toafili should have been more of a focal point going into game 2? And you reduced his carries. Then let's look at the defense. Look, Boston College is not a good football team, okay? They're not. There's a reason why these teams are not ranked to start the year. And you were 10th in the country. Most of the reason why you finished the season undefeated after Travis went down was because of your defense, albeit having lost some players. I understand. But you give up a 14-play, 71-yard, 9-minute and 13-second drive to Boston College. And I know Dave the other day says, that does happen. And he's not wrong. 9 minutes and 13-second drives don't happen. Those are unicorns at any level of football, except Dave for maybe the freshman game you came out and watched with me last week. Just epic failure, dude. And I'm not a Florida State fan. I'm somewhat of a Florida State hater. So to me, this is hysterical. But Florida State, Mike Norvell, you may have been outdone by just one other person. And that is this idiot. So, fan vows to eat dog crap over loss. Okay? A Florida State football fan wrote a check he couldn't cash because he's gone into hiding after promising to eat a steaming pile of dog dookie if his beloved Seminoles lost on Monday to Boston College. And now a ton of big names want to hold him accountable. An ex-user by the name @321Noel made an eye-popping declaration last week stating if FSU fell to Boston College, he would, and I quote, eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and post a video of him doing it. Book it. End quote. As soon as the Noles suffered their second straight loss to start the season with a 28-13 loss to the Boston College Eagles, fans quickly reminded the dude of his vile vow, calling on him to be a man of his word. But instead of owning up to it all, Mr. 321 decided to take the easy route and remove all his accounts from social media. Look, folks, I can sit here and wax poetic about how awful Florida State has been, how sick and tired I was of hearing their whiny fans last year, how terrible of a head coach Mike Norvell has been. But this guy takes the cake. Look, dude, if you're gonna welch on it, just tell people, look, man, I really didn't think they were gonna lose. No, I'm not gonna eat dog crap out of a cup. And take your lumps and move on. Deleting all of your social media is just a huge pile of incredibly weak sauce. And by far and away earns you this week's boner of the week, Mr. What the hell was he? @321Noel. Whatever the hell your name is out there, @321Noel, you, sir, or ma'am, are this week's boner of the week. Easily. Followed very closely by Mike Norvell and really the Florida State Seminoles team as a whole. So there. David Conant, if you're going to have a down year, at least try to let Brockline develop. I don't disagree, brother. David California, I hate to say this, but I visited FSU this summer and was in the stadium. How cursed I am, I wouldn't put it past it. It's my fault. It's not your fault, brother. So not your fault. Fanny in the room. Sorry, late. I was watching the pregame show for Chiefs and Ravens. What's up, darling? How you doing? David Conant, if FSU loses this week, I'll eat some Rice Krispies. Well, the good news is it looks like you're off this week. So is the bye week favored by a touchdown? Inquiring minds want to know. Fanny, yes, Florida crucified Alabama about getting in the playoffs, didn't they? Florida State fans were pissed off overall. And I'm not sitting here saying they didn't have an axe to grind. They're the first Power 5 conference champion to be undefeated and not make the playoff. I get it. But then what they did afterwards was go play their bowl game, and nobody played, and they got absolutely rolled. They just laid down and didn't even put up a fight. So that's where I at that point I had heard enough. Like, you didn't even make an effort. So that's where I was at with it. All right. I want to move on to the NFL, folks. I'm just as excited as the rest of you. Said it 1,000 times on here. I'll never wish away the summer, but we have been looking forward to this for quite a while. So we are going to go ahead and do this right now. We're going to get this link up here, and we're going to start talking some football, y'all. Starting with tonight's game. Chiefs-Ravens, right? I think the Ravens, is it Chiefs by 3.5, and the game's in Kansas City? So on a neutral site, they're telling you it would be basically a pick 'em game, That's look, I think a lot of what the Chiefs may or may not be able to do offensively is going to come from, when Hollywood Brown comes back, what Xavier Worthy can turn into, how much more of a load Pacheco can handle. And of course, it all hinges on Patrick Mahomes and will he have time to throw the ball. Travis Kelce is another year older, but I don't get the sense that there's as much wear and tear on him as there have been on some previous dudes. His career arc is almost that of a Tony Gonzalez, where the injuries really haven't stacked up. Rob Gronkowski, who was every bit as dynamic as a pass catcher and a much better blocker than Kelce, he just couldn't play long enough because of the way he played. He was hurt a lot. Travis Kelce remains out there. And no, I don't give a flying shit whether or not him and Taylor break up or whatever this contract crap is. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. If they want to live happily ever after and have a bunch of babies and a big house with a white picket fence, good for them. If they want to break up next week, good for them. I don't care. All right. Now, I also don't think, and I said this last year, I don't think she should take as much media scrutiny, as much scrutiny from NFL fans as she does. Because to be perfectly honest, the woman has said absolutely nothing. All right. She's actually kind of hammed up with it. If you watch the Super Bowl last year, there was that whole drinking game thing. Every time they show Taylor, you got to do a shot or you got to take a drink. Well, so they show Taylor, and she looks up, sees herself, and she starts taking a drink. She's kind of just dove into it, dude. You know what I mean? So while it is annoying, all of the talk and her constantly having to be on the TV and blah, 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 I honestly wish everyone would just leave those two alone. Because it's really the sports media and all of us talking about it that keep it in the spotlight, as with anything else. But back to the game, I don't know that I would look for a very high-scoring affair tonight. Of course, now that I say that, it'll be like, 48-44 final or something. But both teams can play some really strong defense. Mahomes still going to be getting his feet under him with new receivers, except for Kelce, obviously. Lamar, we got Zay Flowers on his second year now. Andrews is back. He adds Derrick Henry to that offense. I think that speaks more to a ball control, which is when they've been better. Dave, no, I have not seen the weather in Kansas City right now. Is it awful? Because I can tell you it was awful when I was there last November. No, I haven't seen the weather. But if it's inclement weather, again, that just favors more of a rushing attack and defensive game, which honestly, in my opinion, with the addition of Derrick Henry, is going to favor the Ravens more than the Chiefs. So it's a downpour out there now, huh? Hey, look, that means tough sledding, right? That means control the clock. That means keep the ball on the ground. But these guys, they won't. The bigger thing with these players, with the quarterbacks, and they will tell you this, is wind. If it's raining, as long as it's not like a monsoon, but you guys are saying that now you're saying the game's not even going to start on time. That's a bummer. So that's going to keep me up until God knows when. Here's that link again in case you guys want to pop in. If not, I'm just going to start running through the divisions, and then we're going to go to tomorrow night's game, and then we're going to wrap it up. Lightning in the area. Okay, well, that'll change it. So I wonder what the radar looks like out in Kansas City right now. Let's pull that up. Weather.com and Kansas City. Come on. You can do it. Kansas City, Missouri. Rain shower. Okay, it doesn't look like. Well, that's a pretty zoomed out version. I'm looking at it now, Fanny. I'm pulling it up. I'm gonna try to give you guys an update of what it really looks like here. There's some pretty wicked shit right over the top of Kansas City right now. But if I had to guess, that's not something that's gonna last for a very long time. Yeah, no. Oh, then there's more coming behind it, though. It looks like they've got a window from – let me pull that back here. So if we go now, 7 o'clock, so about 7:30 to like 9 where it might not be so bad. So, but then after that, another whack of thunderstorms is going to come through. So I don't know. That might get sketchy for him. That's going to be tough. What do you got here, Dave? So is this going to be like the Eagles' year after we won the Super Bowl? I believed it was delayed an hour that night. All right. So, yeah, look, I again, back to the game tonight. The weather can change. Now you got where, like, that throws a whole different monkey wrench into it. Right now, somebody drops a pass, it slips through somebody's hands because it's wet. The ball squirts loose on a fumble, and it changes the entire game. What I will say is I think the Ravens have much more to prove tonight. I think this game weighs much heavier on them than it does the Chiefs. Not to say that the Chiefs don't care. Obviously, we've seen Patrick Mahomes. He wants to win every time he touches the field. But this is a Ravens team that was the number 1 seed in the AFC, had really torn everyone apart all year. I think their average margin of victory was some 13 points a game, something like that. We went over it during the season. They steamrolled Houston in the divisional round and ended up at home hosting the Chiefs. And the Chiefs scored on their first 2 possessions, and the Ravens did not allow them to score the rest of the game, and they still couldn't mount a comeback. Zay Flowers got loose with the football on the goal line. They really shot themselves in the foot. So this is going to be tough. I think the spread is probably right. I would favor the Chiefs at home, but I think I would say the Ravens are going to. The Ravens should be coming out with a little bit more oomph. I'd look for that early in the game. The Ravens should come out flying. Regardless of weather, the Ravens should come out really looking to make a statement early. If you see Kansas City kind of weather that storm, pun intended, then my thought may change. But I would expect Baltimore to come out really looking to put it on Kansas City early. So if a gun to my head, you want me to pick a sloppy game with the weather, let's say Ravens 2017 over the Chiefs, something like that, 24-21, 24-20, 21-17, somewhere in that range would be my thoughts on that one. Fanny, are you going live on Thursdays this season? I'm booked on Thursdays until May for cheerleading season starting next week. So, yeah, Wednesdays don't work for me for a while because my son's playing his football games on Wednesdays. Although this week we're on Saturday again. Dave, I totally forgot to tell you, it's been a pretty crazy week on a short week here. We're at Miamisburg Saturday at noon. I don't know if you're feeling up to it or whatever. If not, don't worry about it. It's Miamisburg High School. Saturday at noon is Liam's next game. We actually just got that email. I think it was Tuesday. So I haven't known for that long. It's just been a really, really hectic week with work. Califoot. Anyway, we can put a helmet on Jackson Mahomes and put him in the middle of the field if it starts like. Look, a helmet? No, I would put Jackson Mahomes in the middle of an open field holding about a 20-foot metal rod and in the hopes that the lightning struck it. That dude is a douche. Straight up douche. Fanny says she's 5 minutes from Miamisburg. Well, that's where I'll be on Saturday. So Liam's game is at noon. Freshmen, they play 9-minute quarters. The game goes pretty fast. It's roughly, 9, 18. They're throwing 20 minutes for halftime. That's an hour. It's like an hour and 15 minutes and the game's over. That's pretty much it. Hour and 15, hour and 20. But Liam's been getting some time with the first team this week. So they've had a few injuries. So he's moved up the depth chart a little bit. He's pretty excited about it. We're hoping that the boys can go up there and put it on Miamisburg so my son can get on the field a little bit. And, hopefully he can get some snaps in there. He's pretty excited. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on tonight's game. I would pick the Ravens, especially if I was getting points. I'm definitely picking the Ravens, but I think I would pick them to win straight up. Now, my thoughts on the game overall, obviously you make your pick before the game, and I won't welch on it, but, I would, like I said, if Kansas City's able to weather that initial energy that I expect Baltimore to bring, if Kansas City's able to weather that and not give up a whole lot, or if Baltimore just comes out and looks flat, then I would think the Chiefs are going to probably take care of business. All right, that's enough for tonight's game. Here's the link again. Tomorrow night it starts. For our Birds in Brazil against the Packers. And right out of the gates, we've got injuries. I'm not so sure how I feel about the linebacker. Something's funky there. Where there was talk that they were trying to trade him. And, now that Kobe Dean had already outplayed him. And now he's hurt and didn't make the trip down. I don't know. A few months ago, we had my friend Brian on here. He lives in the Tampa, Florida area. And a friend of his is a Tampa native and is a huge Bucs fan. And he gave us a rundown on that guy. And he had basically worn out his welcome in Tampa. So it came down to him needing to sign a kind of 1-year prove-it contract, mercenary contract, as we like to call it, to to try to reinvent himself or whatever. Devin White, right? Started out his career great, but then it kind of faded out, and he wasn't really fitting in Tampa anymore, and had worn out his welcome with the city apparently too. So now he comes up here, 1 year, $7.5 million. We're hoping to kind of rekindle that. Maybe it gets a little fire on him. All right, this is my prove-it deal, and now we've got an injury problem. We've got rumors that they were trying to trade him already. He was already passed by Nakobe Dean as far as being outplayed. Not a good sign for a guy trying to recharge his career, and certainly not a good sign for us when we are already, once again, very thin at the linebacker position. it's just not a spot that Howie puts a lot of time and effort and money into. It's just not. Now, what I will tell you is this is make or break it for Nakobe Dean this year. He's got to stay on the field. You guys all know my stance on him. I think he's a smart kid. I think he's a hard worker. Not questioning any of that. When I've seen him on the field, he looked a step too slow and he looked undersized. Okay. The undersized, I don't really know how much you could do about that. Step too slow. Maybe you can learn better angles and better play recognition to give yourself a jump on on being in better position so that you don't look so slow. But overall, this is it. This is the Dave. I think that game is going to start on time tonight. If that radar was right, there's a window coming like right now where they're going to be able to kick off, and we're going to wrap up here in the next 15 minutes so that we can all go enjoy the game. But as far as the Eagle linebacker core, I mean, so White is out, so Nakobe Dean's the starter, and apparently had already passed White as far as outplaying him, alongside Zach Bond. Obviously, Trot Jr. is in there, and then you got Oren Burks. Like it's just not a. There's no depth. There's no depth there at all. This is why we ended up with Morrow and Cunningham and these guys last year. Dean got hurt. They hinged the entire position group on Dean last year, and it's almost like he's just doing it again. Fanny, I do somewhat agree with you here. Howie has a bromance with Nakobe Dean or something. He drafted him, right? And the word at the time was we got, first-round talent with a third-round pick. Well, you can say that, but all 32 teams passed on him twice, including us. And, 2/3 of the league passed on him a third time before we took him. So while he was projected first-round talent and slipped to the third round, there's usually a reason for that. I think it feels like Howie was trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and sometimes it doesn't work out. The bigger bummer to me, as far as the injury goes, now I did forget to mention Bradbury, but really, the bigger bummer to me as far as the injury goes is Rodgers. God, I wanted that kid on the field. And I'm going to tell you why right now. If you look at this Green Bay Packer receiver, not just the fact that I think Isaiah Rodgers was also going to be one of these guys coming out with a chip on his shoulder after the suspension, really wanting to come out and prove it, and prove that the Birds didn't make a mistake by giving him a shot. This sucks. And now we got to go up against Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Romeo Doubs. 3 really talented young receivers, without Rodgers. I really wanted Rodgers out there alongside Slay. So it's going to be, Keely Ringo, Quinion Mitchell. Look, and I'm not saying that we can't handle business. All right, Cooper DeJean is going to be out there too. It obviously makes things much more challenging, and it's a bummer. We were a lot of us, and I see Fanny was Fanny was definitely excited to to see him out on the field. Califoot are the starters playing tomorrow. Jesus Christ, dude, it's not the preseason anymore. But the bread and butter of our defense, and has been for a few years, is the front. That front has got to make some noise, right? We need Jordan Davis to step up. This is a big year for him as well. It's not just Nakobe Dean or Devin White or Isaiah Rodgers. It's a big year for Jordan Davis as well. He's got to prove that he can avoid being gassed and that he's in shape and is able to handle the rigors of an NFL season. You remember last year, he had that huge game against Buffalo, and we never heard from him again the rest of the season. Up to that point, I was calling them the law firm of Carter and Davis. Now, Carter, hi, Liam. Liam's in the kitchen. What are you making? Monkey bread. Whatever. Creative kid. I was calling them the law firm of Carter and Davis. And that all went up in smoke after the Buffalo game. After kid, well, really, I mean, Davis disappeared after the Buffalo game. He needs to not do that. Okay. I love Milton Williams. I think he works hard, and he comes in, does his job. The rotation's good. I'm good up there. On the edge, Bryce Huff has got to prove that he can fill some shoes, right? Nobody expects him to be Hassan Reddick, but he's got to pick up a bunch of that slack. Obviously, Brandon Graham, we know BG is going to do his thing. He's going to do his thing in the biggest spots, right? That's where BG has always come up. To me, the pass, and then obviously Josh Sweat, I don't really have any concerns about Josh Sweat. He gets pressure. To me, the key to the rotation of getting pressure on the quarterback hinges on Nolan Smith. And why? Well, the reason why we're not paying Hassan Reddick a shit ton of money is because we drafted Nolan Smith. All right? I get it. Don't start attacking me. He ain't Hassan Reddick. No, he's not Hassan Reddick yet. He may never be Hassan Reddick. I'm not asking him to be Hassan Reddick. I'm asking to be that type of player. That's why he was drafted, to be that kind of one-trick pony off the edge. He runs, he's a speed rusher off the edge. That is his job. His job is to come at the quarterback. Okay? He is the fastest edge rusher that we have by a pretty good margin. It is that same type of mold as Hassan Reddick. Okay? We got to get over the fact that with Reddick, he's not here anymore. And you see the bullshit he's pulling with the Jets. So, once again, Howie's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Again, the key to the pass rush for me, as far as I'm concerned, is the performance of Nolan Smith Jr. this year. Okay? We need that edge rush, that wicked speed coming off the edge, where it's just a nightmare for a tackle to handle. And even if he can't get to the quarterback, if he can just get enough of an angle to force the quarterback to step up, hopefully into the welcoming arms of the law firm of Carter and Davis, right? Or, a Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff, or Josh Sweat coming on the other side. That's what I need to see. All right? And I think we should all be looking for that. On the offensive side, guys, look, I am going to be very, very honest with you. If everyone stays healthy and these guys just do their job, I fully believe that this offense has the potential to be very, very special. No, Fanny, Alex Hunt is not starting. No, he is a deeper rotation guy. So when you look at the edge position, you got Sweat, Smith, Huff, Graham. Alex Hunt would be behind all four of those guys. All right. So his snaps. Now look, when he gets in the game, he needs to go do his job. All right. And God forbid somebody gets hurt, he's going to have to step up. But to start the year, no, Alex Hunt will not be starting. No. The offense. Look, Kellen Moore, you can say what you want. That Chargers team was a wreck under the previous head coach, okay? When he was the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator, they were number 1 in the league against the blitz. Anybody remember how poorly we did against the blitz last year? We were pretty bad. Some of that is because we also didn't use a whole lot of motion. There was not, if you watch the offense and you go back and look at the replay of the game tape and stuff, that some of these channels and networks and streaming services offer, there wasn't a whole lot of creativity to the offense last season. Not a whole lot of motion, not a whole lot there that's going to help the quarterback by making the defense show its hand. It was just straight drop back stuff, RPOs, and way too many bubble screen passes. Okay. I think Quimby and I were about to throw shit from the upper deck at Arrowhead last year when Johnson went out there and called 3 straight bubble screens at a time in the game when we could have just ended the game with some better clock management. Kellen Moore's not. I mean, there's going to be bubble screens, but he's not going to do that. There's going to be his offensive schemes are usually top 10 in motion plays. All right. I know most of you understand. For some of you who don't, what does motion do? It helps you tip off what the defense is doing. I tap my back foot. Devontae Smith comes across the formation. If his corner follows him across, usually means man coverage. Now, you do have creative defensive coordinators too who will do that, but then it ends up being a sit-down zone or they zone blitz. There's complexity to it, but the motion is there to help with that sort of thing. Go back and watch a bunch last year. It just wasn't a thing all that often. There was no creativity to that, and it hurt. I think early in the season, the sheer talent on our roster was overcoming the crappy play calling and coaching, period. To the point where, but it just, NFL defenses are just eventually going to figure you out. And eventually, even all that talent can't overcome lack of creativity on the offensive end. All right? That's it. So when you look at Jalen Hurts, who should be, I expect that knee to be better this year, all right? Don't get Jalen Hurts mixed up with Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick or guys like that. He's not a speed guy, okay? Not that he's slow or anything, but he's not out there dancing circles around people. When he takes off to run, it's a lot of times, he can take off, but then it's a little bit more from a power position. Saquon Barkley is brought into in place of DeAndre Swift. Now, look, if you'd have told me if the Eagles went and immediately re-signed DeAndre Swift in the offseason, I would have been absolutely fine with it. But Saquon Barkley is a better running back, okay? And there's another layer to this. Just lost Jason Kelce, okay, to retirement. That brotherly shove play was a lot about what makes Kelce special. His ability to get low, his strength, his aggression, right? You lose that. And I'm not saying they can't run that play. I don't think you're going to see the same type of brotherly shove as we did the last 2 years, whatever. So when you look at short yardage and now you can't just run that play and be as successful with it, you need a running back who can go in there, square his shoulders up, and get you that yard. DeAndre Swift is not that guy. All right? I'm not saying he can't do it at all, but Saquon Barkley is a much bigger running back. That has something to do with it. Saquon Barkley is a 3-down running back. I really wanted to see Will Shipley push Kenny Gainwell for that backup role. Not there. So it's Barkley, Gainwell, and Shipley. Then we get to the receivers, where A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, with Johnny Wilson at 6'6", backing them up. I was good right there. And we late stage go out and get Jahan Dotson, who we are. Another Penn State boy brought in during the offseason. This is your stretch the field guy, your number 3 wide receiver. A lot of people look at his numbers and stuff in Washington and say, well, he underachieved. He did this, he did that. He wasn't that good. The only thing I will tell you is that Washington drafted him too high. All right. I'm a Penn State fan. I loved Jahan Dotson at Penn State. The bottom line is he was not worthy of the number 16 overall pick in the draft. And I personally never thought Washington drafted him 16th overall and then tried to make him the clear-cut number 2 wide receiver behind Scary Terry McLaurin. Dotson's better suited as the wide receiver 3. Slot, stretch the field. And now he's the wide receiver 3 in an offense where while he's the wide receiver 3, he may be the 5th option when you talk Brown, Smith, Barkley, Goddard, and now Dotson. Dallas Goedert, I'm good. Stay on the field. We're fine. Right? Grant Calcaterra behind him. I think there's a big drop-off there. I do like that Jack Stoll is part of our practice squad and can be brought back up at any time. I understand he's not the big receiving threat that Goddard is, but Stoll goes out there and does his job. So if he had to be my backup tight end for a little bit, I'm good. And you get to the offensive line where, guys, look, Cam Jurgens is obviously not Jason Kelce. To think we're not going to take a step back at all in the offensive line is foolish. You don't just replace one of, if not the greatest center in the history of football and expect nothing to fall off. But Jurgens was handpicked by Kelce as well. And Kelce has been spending a lot of time with the Birds. That can only benefit us. All right? I believe that this offense, provided it stays healthy and everyone does their job, I think it can be very, very special. And I think you're going to see that tomorrow night. All right? I think you're going to see an offense come out and be looking to right some wrongs from last year where we looked very stale, very predictable, just kind of very vanilla offense. I think you're going to see this offense come out firing tomorrow night. They're going to be fired up. I don't like the negativity about being in Brazil. I understand it's a bitch and all the talks about safety and whatnot. I get it, and I feel for these guys, and I don't like the fact that they had to do this. But the bottom line is it's your job, and it's time to get down to business. And I think you will see the boys come out tomorrow night looking to make a statement. For the Packers have got to come out, and they're going to be wanting to prove to everyone that they weren't a one-trick pony, that they weren't just a, flash in the pan. So I'd expect them to come out looking to make some noise too. Them grabbing Josh Jacobs is slightly terrifying with with what they were able to do last year. But ultimately, you were talking about a team that needed a win last week of the season to even get into the playoffs, and had a very rough start. Good for Jordan Love for cashing in on it, but they still have quite a bit to prove themselves. So, you want my thoughts on tomorrow night? I think we're going to see a bunch of offense. Nothing crazy, but 28-24 type of game, 28-21. I think that's wheelhouse. You want me to tell you who I think so? I think the Birds are going to take it. 27-24, 28-23, something along those lines. Where everybody gets their feet under them and gets off and rolling. So one more time back over to the room. Fanny, I rewatched their game against the Commanders. Jahan Dotson outrunning Slay the whole game. Not a good. Califoot, if that's you, buddy, I'm about to wrap it up. I'm sorry. It's an hour in. I don't have any more time. I got to get running here. Everything looks good on paper, Fanny. I agree with you. We should dominate, but playing the game is a different monster. Hope Dotson does well. I agree. I would agree with that. They do. They have to, like I said, they got to stay healthy and they have to do their job, right? Those are the two things. I don't disagree with that at all. Fanny, I've always said that. We look good on paper. Our video need to match our audio. Exactly. That's where I'm nervous tomorrow. They played 0 snaps in the preseason. Guys, enough with the 0 snaps in the preseason. We were 8-0 in 2022. None of the starters played. We were, 10-0 or whatever the hell it was last year. None of the starters played in the preseason. If we lose tomorrow night, it's not going to be because these guys didn't play in the preseason. Hopefully we can get off the field after 4th down. Agreed. That's where you need Nolan Smith to come up with a big sack, right? You got the Packers pinned on like 3rd and 7, right? They're a little behind the sticks, big spot. Somebody's got to come in and make that hit, right? Force an early throw. Make them make a bad decision, that sort of shit. Fanny says 33-30 Birds. That might be a little too much offense for week 1, but hey, you never know. These are two teams that do have the potential to light up the scoreboard. Califoot going to be quick. I get it, man, but I got to wrap it up because I've got other shit I got to do, and I want to watch some football. So I do appreciate everybody coming into the room tonight. Fanny, Dave Connett, Lou, Keenan. Always great to see you guys. Commentary. I know a lot of our Green Legion crew is actually in Brazil right now, and I wish them well. Don't drink the water or whatever the hell. Don't wander off the beaten path. Stay safe. But, folks, the NFL is upon us. So let's all have fun. Enjoy this game tonight. Get ready for the varsity tomorrow night. And, Dave, look, if we lose tomorrow night, I can't sit here and say we wouldn't have lost to a good team. Okay? That's what I would say. But that's going to wrap it up from here tonight, folks. So for everybody in the room, for anybody who was watching earlier and decided not to comment, that's okay too. But this has been the UnHappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. Thank you for joining us. Come on back again next week. We will recap the Birds' first game, win or lose. It's going to be a tough game. I'm picking the Birds because I'm an Eagles fan, and I want to believe. Could I see us losing it? Yeah, I could. Packers ended the year really, really strong. So, but we'll recap that next week, and we'll look ahead to the Week 2 matchup on a Monday night at home against the Falcons, where Kirk Cousins will, for the 3rd season in a row, be the opposing quarterback opening up the Link in a primetime game. Sorry about your luck, Captain Kirko. Folks, take care. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the opening weekend of the NFL season. Enjoy the college football Saturday. Have fun this weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Remember, the judge is not back in until Monday. And as always, folks, go Birds. All right, kids, that's it. Take care. Enjoy. We love you.